It's Dr. Stacey coming to you to talk with you on a series of videos that I'm hoping to release weekly about hashtag racial trauma is real. And so when people talk about racial trauma, what do they mean? I'm going to read you a little definition of what folks have to say about that. Race trauma or race-based traumatic stress or race-based stress refers to the mental and emotional energy caused by encounters with racial bias, ethnic discrimination, racism, and hate crimes. And so race-based stress is really the stress that is accompanied for BIPOC people, Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, in their reaction to what it's like to live in a world of white supremacy. Now, certainly you experience that as a student being at a predominantly white institution. And oftentimes it can feel like putting a square peg in a round hole. Part of what research tells us is that the closer the match an institution is for a student, the better they tend to do as far as both academically and grades, but also matriculating through to graduation. And so that can be complicated for you at a place that is a predominantly white institution like our dear Susquehanna. Some of the things that can lead to race-based stress in students of color at predominantly white institutions include social isolation, maybe the imposter syndrome, strained relationships with faculty, the daily slights, microaggressions. Can I touch your hair? Where are you really from? Why don't you just go back to where you came from? Or all lives matter? Or maybe being asked to speak for a whole race of people, or possibly being mistaken for the cleaning crew, or not even being recognized as a student. Just kind of microaggressions that can happen in the lives of the daily lives of BIPOC people, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Now, race-based stress can take many forms. It can be anger, anxiety, resentment, depression, along with sadness, paranoia, maybe even some sense of, low frustration tolerance, helplessness, hopelessness, self-blame, self-doubt. All of those things can be indicators of race-based stress. Now, here's what I know. I am triggered by different things as it relates to racism. Not everything sends me over the edge, but then there's some things that make me say, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. And so for me, when I feel disrespected, or that that people are not really acknowledging either what I bring to the table, or they're discounting what I have to say, Dr. Stacey does not respond so well to that. It could be for you that you feel slighted, or somebody questions your ability, or they are in your personal space, or they're being provocative with you, trying to provoke you to do or say something, or saying ignorant things. I don't know what your personal trigger is, but it is important to know and understand that. Or there could be issues that trigger you and make you move to that place, or lead you to moving to that place of heightened race-based stress. And so that can be law enforcement and the relationship with them, or the prison industrial complex, or educational systems, or economic disparities, health disparities, the current political climate, right? Can all be things or issues that you find yourself triggered by. And I want to say to you that that's completely normal. That it is difficult to live in a system under white supremacy. And given that if you are a BIPOC person and you don't identify with the dominant group, or the group who is seen or at least touted to be supreme, then it can be very disconcerting. So I'm going to start by giving you some tips on how you might be able to not just survive, but thrive in these environments. First of all, understand what your triggers are and do what you can to minimize that. Or you know that you get triggered about something, and so when you get triggered, just know that you have your reaction to the thing that sends you over the edge. Acknowledge what is happening to you, and don't try to pretend that it's not happening or that you can just power through. And sometimes, we are a strong people, and so we can power through, but sometimes it's just difficult to do that. I also encourage you to take a break. That you can't be in the social justice fight all the time. That at some point you need to sleep and you need to tap out. I also want to encourage you to find your people. Find your group of people who understand you, who know you, who can validate you, who make you feel or lead you to feel or treat you like you are important and valuable to them. It's also important to remember that when we are carrying this race-based stress, that it can feel like it's a weight, like on your shoulders, right? On your shoulders. I mean, for me, I feel it right here in the back of my neck, that I carry it in my body. And that is true for a lot of us. And so it's important to find ways to let it go, give it back, share the love, and that are catharsis, and that you are dispelling some of the energy and some of the weight of it. And so that might mean hooping or another type of athletic or kinetic event. That's something that is maybe walking or bike riding, but something that gets those endorphins going. That could mean journaling. That might mean listening to some music. If you are a person of color and you don't have a person of color playlist, like a Black Power playlist, get you one immediately. And there are we gonna be all right. Like, there's so much music out there to help kind of reinforce who you are and your need to even tap out. It could mean doing poetry, Netflix and chill, but whatever you do, don't hold on to it. Do what you can to immediately dispense it, to get it out, to have a catharsis. The other last thing I want to encourage you to do is, so the people who are most resilient see things that happen to them as external, situational, and unstable, versus the people who have a hard time bouncing back see things that happen to them as internal, dispositional, and stable, maybe even permanent. So let me tell you what I mean. So let's say you watch this video and you see me on campus. You're like, that's Stacey, I saw your video. And like, cool. And what'd you think? And you're like, right? Like, So I can take it to mean that I'm a terrible video person. I should never do it again. And there's something wrong with me. So internal, permanent, and it's not going to change. So I'll take myself out the mix, versus seeing things as external, situational, and unstable, meaning, well, maybe the video wasn't as good as I hoped it would be, and it didn't resonate the way that she wanted to, and maybe she had gas, or maybe it was just a bad day, or the message didn't resonate, and that doesn't mean I need to get out of it. And so, to the degree that you can, as much as possible, and it's hard not to take it in as personal, because it's you. And it's about your skin color. And there's nothing that you can do about the glorious melanin in your skin, right? But as much as you can, to see things as external, not your fault. Racism is the problem of the racist. White supremacy is the problem of the white supremacist. Now, does it become our problem? Yep. But it doesn't mean that you need to take full responsibility for all of it. Know that's somebody just being crazy and racist, and it has nothing to do with you. The last thing that I want to encourage you to do in this week's video is to do something. That I talked about feeling helpless and hopeless in the midst of this. Find a way to try to counteract and move towards justice and freedom for our people. And so whether that's on the picket line or whether you're giving money to the NAACP, I know y'all broke college students, so stop. Or that you are giving to money to the people who are being jailed as for bail money for people who are being jailed as a result of the protest, or that you are part of ALAS or SUNA or BSU or the Asian Americans Pacific Islander Student Association. Give your time, your talent, and your energy for something. And that way, there's the opportunity for you not to feel so helpless and hopeless. So I hope that this is a help to you, and it'll be the start of a conversation about how to deal with and cope with and make your own self more anti-racist in the midst of this racial reckoning that we're having in this country. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to come back next week. Bye-bye.